All right, so starting out, first thing to really focus on when we're hurdling is we want to really get our legs out of the way. So to clear the hurdle, if your arms typically aren't going to catch the hurdle. It's not normally the problem, or the problem is always getting the legs out of the way and the timing of our legs to get over the hurdle. So to do this, we have to make sure that we are driving our legs up. So initially there's going to be a lead leg and a trail leg. Trail leg follows the lead leg, so that's why it's called trail leg. So lead leg needs to come up initially, nice and high. We want to get that as high as we can, basically. Especially at first, when we're first starting to clear hurdles, we want to make sure we're getting that lead leg up. The trail leg needs to come up high, but it needs to come up high and to the side as well. But initially at first, my focus with getting over the hurdle is making sure that we're getting our legs out of the way. So just getting up the leg really high and then getting up the trail leg really high as well. I'm not as focused on getting good trail leg form at first. If you focus on the trail leg form at first, I feel like that can add a little bit too much, and we want to be focusing typically on one thing at a time. When we first start off, we have to focus on quite a few variables, but one thing at a time is what I always coach. And then we add on things. Once that one thing becomes automatic, then we can add on more things. So initially when we're coming up on the hurdle, what I want us to focus on is just getting our legs up and out of the way. So if you're aggressive over the hurdle, you take down the hurdle. If you're timid over the hurdle takes you down. So that's kind of one of my mottos for coaching hurdles as well. So if we're leaning back like this and we clip the hurdle, it's likely that we're gonna fall. But if we're staying forward like this and we're getting our chest closer to our knee, but I wouldn't say chest to knee, but I'd say chest closer to the knee and then the knee up. Typically, if you clip this hurdle, it's designed to go down, even though this one's pretty heavy. Not likely to go down as easy. So first thing, when you're starting out, we're gonna work 300-meter hurdles or 400-meter hurdles. Basically the hurdles that doesn't involve all the rhythmic stuff. It doesn't, like if you're working 100 hurdles, you're going over multiple hurdles, there's a lot going on. You gotta think about rhythm, you gotta think about speed, you gotta think about power and all this other stuff, all kind of coming into those hurdles. So we always start with 300-meter hurdle work. And to do this, we want to be on the turf as a starting point. So you want to be on the turf, and we want to be making sure that we are kind of figuring out our timing coming in the hurdle so that we can get our lead leg up and figured out. So when you're first starting out, typically you don't have a lead and a follow and a trail leg, which is actually a good thing because that will allow you to take off with either leg, but you're typically going to have one leg that you're going to favor a little bit more. So just kind of trying to time that. We want to be figuring about 5 to 10 meters out, we want to be quickening our turnover. So a quicker turnover allows us to essentially, if we're in full stride, all we can do is shorten our turnover, right? Or we got to take a really long stride and it's not natural and it's going to cause us to dip down too much and cause all these other problems. So quickening our turnover allows us to, one, accelerate the hurdle, get some momentum to come over the hurdle a little bit easier, but also it's going to, and not slow us down as much, but also what it's going to give us is we can now lengthen our stride more if we need to hit our point. We don't want to be too close to the hurdle like that. Lengthen our stride more or shorten it even more to make sure that we hit the hurdle. You're going to be kind of stuttering, but at least we're going to clear the hurdle when we get over the hurdle. And that's the main thing with new hurdlers is like making sure that we can clear that hurdle first, and then we can work on more of that technical stuff. Because when you're a new hurdler and you clip that hurdle and you fall, it's very discouraging. You don't want to continue hurdling anymore. So just make sure we're clearing the hurdle. Getting over the hurdle is the first priority. So getting those legs up is how we do that. So a good drill to really just start with, really kind of just feels stupid when you're doing it, but basically just learn how to drive your legs up and come back down. So this kind of teaches you what it feels like to come over the hurdle. So it's like, and then what you should hear when you're landing on the ground. So you hear like an audible, if I'm on the turf, so I hear the kind of like turf sound. So you should hear that. So it's like, just driving my legs up, Now we're gonna add a little bit of forward lean into it, driving our legs up. You can add the arms if you want to, but we need to start learning that. We also need to be doing the hurdle drills, which I'm gonna be doing the next video. We'll be doing a bunch of hurdle drills to kind of get started. And when you want to do these hurdle drills as warm-ups, but it's also gonna teach you in a slower pace what our form should be over the hurdle. But before we even do hurdle drills, typically I'll start throwing people into the hurdles, like one hurdle on turf, just to kind of get an idea if they even want to continue on. So hurdles is a very demanding event, a very specific event that it's not for everybody. So just kind of gauging whether the athlete's going to want to do it or they're going to want to continue is really important. So running in the hurdle, we want to be taken off. We don't want to be taken off within the legs of the hurdle here. These legs that come out on the ground here, you should never take off within that. The risk we run if we take off within that, we come up, we're gonna clip that hurdle, we're gonna fall. That's how we fall. So we wanna be somewhat far out. I'm gonna say at least 4 feet out is what we should be shooting for, but I just tell my athletes when they're first starting out, stay outside these legs. It's an easy mark to tell them to stay outside of. So we wanna be taking off a little bit further away. So now we can get our legs up. We have enough time to get those legs up, especially when you're first starting out. You're not as quick with it. You have enough time to get your legs up and get over the hurdle. And as you guys are about to see, one of my athletes I coach. She was essentially struggling at first. She got her legs up, she got over the hurdle, she never fell today, so that was great. So, if you do fall, we're on the turf. The turf's meant to fall on, or grass. If you're doing it on grass too, you can do it on grass. But she was getting up, and then you don't see a trail leg yet. And then we started to work on that trail leg. We started to mention like how the trail leg's supposed to work. So when we're doing trail leg stuff, so once they're ready, they've gone over the hurdle a couple times and they're really comfortable now. They're getting the legs up and out of the way. Now what we want to do, and if you're an athlete, basically I'm coaching you on how to do this. So now we want to get our foot in front of the hurdle. So like our heel should be even in front of this cross top bar right here. This is our lead leg, right? So we want to get our lead leg in front, and then what we want to do is we just want to basically teach ourselves to come around and down. So just back, around, down. And you can do this where you're holding onto a fence too, I see it a lot of times. Just make sure you're leaning like at the ankles into the fence, and then you come around and down. Because this way, doing it without a fence is actually pretty hard to balance. So just teaching them. So when you come off of the trail leg, take that foot and you want to rotate it. So I'm going to come in a little bit closer. You want to take the foot and rotate to the side right there. So it's like right when it comes off the ground, get the foot up like that so it can get out of the way. We don't want our foot dangling like this, which you're going to see typically when you're first starting out with hurdles, is you're going to see that a lot. So just making sure they're overshooting the hurdle will keep them so they're not clipping that leg. But then if you don't want to be overshooting anymore, we're going to have to tilt that foot out, and you want to kick your butt into your armpit, around, down. And we want to come all the way around. So if we're coming down like this, we're not going to get any power on that step coming off the hurdle. So our lead leg will come down, trail leg will come down, and then there's nothing, no power. So we want to keep that momentum moving. We want to get that leg all the way around. So we're up here like this, 90 degrees, roughly, and then back down to running. And it's gonna be a lot quicker to do that coming off the hurdle than it is to do this. And this, where it comes down at an angle, or trail leg comes down at an angle after we come around and clear that hurdle, if it comes down at an angle, we can catch our spikes weird, all this other stuff can happen, and we can fall that way too. So it's gonna cause maybe a little zigzagging too in the lane. We want everything to be going down the track, keep everything square. So once they start mastering that trail leg, then we just need to teach how to keep the hips square so we're not rotating out and stuff like that. In terms of arms, I wouldn't focus on the arms too much. If they're having problems getting their legs up, just drive the arm up with the legs typically follow your arms. So if you just teach driving this arm up initially, like I even say almost like above your head, just so that really teaches that leg to come up. Like if you're teaching like high jump or something, with high jump athletes. So just teaching that, getting that leg up, really important. So that's kind of it for hurdles. If you're just new to hurdles, or if you haven't really worked with a coach before, I just recommend going over this really quick, doing these drills really quick, just so you can get a little bit of experience coming over hurdles and doing it the correct way as well. So if you haven't done it, that's kind of what I have for today. So hopefully you guys can get out, do some of that, and learn from what I just taught you guys. We'll go into some drills the next video, or like maybe 2 days from now. So we'll do some drills. I'll show you guys more of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's it.